Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg. Well, cloudy skies outside right now, 31 degrees on the barn thermometer, just below freezing, but it really doesn't feel that bad outside without much wind blowing, and the humidity levels make it pretty pleasant. Here in the northern part of the state, we're looking for snow to begin after the sun goes down and continue through tomorrow. This quick calendar reminder, the Jackson County Regional Livestock Market will have a bred cow sale tomorrow. That's Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Visit jcrlm.com, your livestock authority. Taking a quick look at your agricultural headlines and looking back over the past year, one of the biggest news stories was probably the labor unrest. The most labor unrest in decades on both sides of the United States and Canada border at ports and on railways, leading to an impact on agriculture and on trade. Now, the first hint of labor issues this year was in late February when the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference gave a notice of dispute when a contract negotiation of 9,300 union members with the Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railway broke down. This dispute filing opened the door to a possible strike in May. Follow all the hurdles, on August 22nd, the railway locked out the union workers, and it wasn't until a tumultuous week of rail worker stoppage between the different railways on August 24th, they were forced by a binding arbitration on all parties that brought the union workers to return back to work. Well, here in the United States, the International Longshoremen Association and the United States Maritime Alliance reported on September 15th that they would not reach an agreement on their current contract that expired at the end of that month, opening the door for a strike at the East Coast and Gulf ports. Now, they went on strike, and the strike affected soybean meal, and other agricultural products that are exported via containers. Approximately 5 to 6% of total soybean exports would be affected by that strike on the East and Gulf Coast. It also would have a significant impact on chilled frozen meat, eggs, and other things that are exported from the United States. Now, on the evening of October 3rd, the strike came to an end. Now, meanwhile, in Canada, grain workers' local union 333 went on strike on September 24th, stopping work at 5 grain terminals in Vancouver. And at the time, Grain Growers Canada said that the grain farmers in the prairies rely heavily on that port of Vancouver to handle and export the majority of the grain that they grow. In fact, last year, terminal elevators at the port of Vancouver received roughly 52% of all grain products produced across Canada, underscoring the critical role that these terminals play in the agricultural supply chain. And following last month's rail worker stoppage, the strike had an equally devastating impact on grain farmers across the Canadian prairies who were in the midst of their harvest. Now, after the 4-day strike, another one began on September 4th at the port of Montreal. On November 4th, they started an industry-wide strike at the British Columbian Maritime Employees Association, and then on November 12th, they were ordered to end the strike stoppage in British Columbia and Quebec ports, imposing final and binding arbitration on the parties, and then operations began to resume on November 14th. So 2024 saw a lot of challenges with shipping in the United States and Canada. Let's take a look now at your Thursday weather forecast, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com.
We've got a mix of clouds and sunshine here for today before clouds really ramp up overnight tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Quick forecast update for you here in Ohio. Here's what we're dealing with. We're going to be dealing with a clipper system coming across the upper Midwest here today, moving into the Great Lakes tonight, and that's going to give us our precipitation for tomorrow. Plenty of clouds for Friday, on again, off again snow showers. I think we have to allow for a coating to a couple of inches over the Buckeye State. Coverage around 80%, so even southern Ohio can see some out of this little clipper. We do get rid of the clouds and the new snow for Saturday, maybe some lake effect in northeastern parts of Ohio, but that's it. And Sunday is going to be sunny as well, but we're chilly all weekend long, below normal temperatures. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your markets after this. Let's get an analysis on today's markets from Leist Mercantile. This update brought to us by Brandt, helping growers take control for over 70 years.
I'm Ryan Metzger with Leist Mercantile, providing your weekly export data update. This morning, the USDA released their export sales data for the week ending December 12th. For new corn sales, they came in on the higher end of estimates at 1.424 million metric tons, while new sales on soybeans were a bit more disappointing, coming in on the lower end of estimates at 1.175 million metric tons. And finally, new sales of wheat coming in at the higher end of estimates at 457.9 thousand metric tons. To now meet the USDA export targets, we will need to see weekly sales of 709.5 thousand metric tons of corn, 292.8 thousand metric tons of soy, and 186.4 thousand metric tons of wheat. Please visit our website, lifemercantile.com, to learn more about our grain marketing program and crop insurance services.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look now at your markets brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. March corn is currently unchanged at $4.37 1/4. January soybeans up 4 3/4, now up 5 cents at $9.56 3/4. And wheat for March up 6 3/4 at $5.34 1/2. December live cattle is trading down 65 cents at $190.65, and February lean hogs are up 40 cents at $84.10. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Ohio AgNet.